Hello and welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for the weekend preview once more. I'm your host, Alfie Burns, and joining me I've got Toby Wilding and Chris Gallagher. Toby, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Battling on through the international break and obviously still got some good games here to look forward to. So looking forward to this, should be enjoyable.
Absolutely. Chris, how about you? You okay?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, as Toby's alluded to there, it's the international break which has robbed us of the championship fixtures this weekend, and it's robbed us of a few League One and League Two fixtures as well, but there's still plenty to get through when we get started with some Friday night football. Bolton Wanderers host Crewe Alexandra at the Uniball tonight, live on Sky Sports. Bolton enter the fixture sitting 16th in the League One table, whilst Crewe are 24th and are the League One's basement side. We're going to start with Bolton. Ian Everett's side are without a win in 5 league games at the minute, and they're on a little bit of a tough run, although they have had some difficult fixtures, the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, Wigan in that run. They've also been held by Stockport in the FA Cup. I'll come to you first, Toby. Do you feel like there's been a little bit of a reality check for Bolton and Ian Everett in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I do think you could say that. I mean, they were always going to sort of come into the season on a bit of a high after winning promotion during the last campaign. And then I think you look at the business that they did in the summer as well. There was some impressive recruits they got in there. So there was always going to be sort of some decent expectations there around Bolton, and then obviously they did back that up in the first couple of months of the season. So yeah, obviously they were going to be on a high after that, and this has sort of perhaps brought them down to earth a bit. Maybe a bit of a reminder of where they are in comparison to some of those promotion challenges they've come up against. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing from Bolton. You look at what they've been through in the last couple of seasons. Perhaps that's almost a reminder of where they are at this moment in time. And again, as I say, looking back at where they are, to have got back to this sort of mid-table position in League One quite as quick as they have done is still a pretty impressive achievement, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this weekend they've obviously got Crewe, who have only won once in League One this season. It's probably the best opportunity that Bolton could ask for to get back to winning ways in League One. And it's the start of a really presentable run of fixtures between now and January. You know, the Bolton are taking on a lot of the sides, you know, around the sort of bottom third of the table. You know, what do you think on the whole, Chris, that Bolton should be aiming for this season? You know, should they be worried about getting turned over by the likes of Wigan and Plymouth, or should they just be focusing on establishing again in League One?
Yeah, I think Toby touched on it there. They've got to be pleased with how far they've come. But again, at the start of the season, they're probably one of 12, 15 teams who were hoping to be in and around the mix for the playoffs. And as you said, they've got a nice run coming up now, so this will really test them, because I think they're 8 points away from the playoffs and 4 from the bottom 4. So the immediate concern is just pushing up the table. And this is a great game for them tonight. And then they've got to kick on. And if they do, you can reevaluate around Christmas and then see where you are. They might get some new players in January. And they wouldn't rule them out of a playoff push. We've got a lot of work to do. But it's not a concern if they do finish mid-table. It's about progressing year on year, which they'll be doing.
No, absolutely. And a side that really do need points are Crewe. David Artle's made no secret of that in his press calls this week. We need to start picking up points sharpish, was the message from him. You know, Bolton, as we've mentioned, they're on a difficult run. Toby, do you give Crewe much chance of springing a little bit of surprise tonight on Sky?
Maybe. I'm not convinced, though, if I'm honest. I mean, yeah, Bolton are in a bit of a poor run, but obviously they'll be targeting this one as well to get out of that blip when they look at Crewe's form. And I think sort of looking back on some of Crewe's recent results, I think the big concern for them is they've already missed chances in sort of the past few weeks. The defeat at Fleetwood, obviously they're down there. They had the battle of the bottom 2 with Doncaster. I think last midweek they couldn't get a win out of that. So they've already sort of missed opportunities there against teams who are, at the minute, even lower down the table than Bolton are. So I think if you look at it from that perspective, I can see this being another tough one for Crewe to get anything out, to be honest.
All right, we'll get some predictions in then. Toby, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, as I was saying there, I think this is going to be a challenge for Crewe, so I'll go for 2-0 Bolton.
And what about you, Chris?
I'll go for 3-1 Bolton.
Yeah, clean sweep. I fancy Bolton as well tonight. Next up, we're going to move across to Yorkshire. Elsewhere in League One, Sheffield Wednesday play host to Gillingham. Wednesday are currently sitting 8th in the table, whilst Gillingham are down in 19th. Sheffield Wednesday are putting together a really tidy run in across all competitions at the minute. They're 9 unbeaten. They beat Sunderland convincingly last time out in League One. Chris, are we starting to see things really click into place for Darren Moore at Hillsborough?
Yeah, I think it was a few of the results, a few of them have been draws and they've let in late goals. So you're kind of coming away from those games really upset as opposed to go, we've added to the unbeaten run. But yeah, the Sunderland one was a real statement win, and he went very attacking for that game, and it paid off. When you look at the squad on paper, it's really good. So yeah, I think slowly but surely they're getting there, and they'll fancy their chances now of sustaining this over a longer period.
Yeah, you've mentioned there the squad at Hillsborough is absolutely fantastic. They have just lost Dominic Iorfa to quite a long-term injury, but they've got Massimo Luongo back, George Byers, and Josh Windass is to come back as well. So, as you mentioned there, Chris, there's some really good players to come back into a good squad, which can only be a good thing, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and he'll have some tough decisions to make with when everyone is fit and firing, but that's what any manager should want. And then it's down to the players to keep their shirt. I think you had Corbyn, who had to be patient for his chance, he took it, and then that's going to have to be the same with all the players in the squad. You need to make sure you can't get dropped by playing well.
Yeah, given the postponements as well in League One this week, and a lot of the sides above Wednesday in the table aren't in action due to the international fixtures, a win then against Gillingham could move them into the top 6. Toby, I think that'd be a big morale boost for all those at Hillsborough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as we sort of saw spoken before about, I think the sort of the business they did over the summer, given after coming down and the sort of situation there, it was really important in terms of lifting morale. And you did see the expectations get up. And as we've referenced there, despite the run they've been on, the late draws that they've had have probably given that a bit of a hit. So obviously if they could then get back in the playoffs, they have got something to build on there, and it should give them a lift to be bouncing back like that. Because as we've seen in League One for many a team, it's not easy to respond. So if they can do that, and if they can keep themselves in that sort of promotion mix, then there's got to be a confidence that with the squad they've managed to put together, they have the ability to come good by the end of the season.
Absolutely. Quite a presentable fixture against Gillingham this week. And Gillingham have been pretty poor on the road. They've not won away from home since September. And Steve Evans in the opposition dugout has been doing his best to sort of stoke the fire heading into this weekend, revealing that he turned down the Sheffield Wednesday job back when Milan Mandaric was in charge at Hillsborough. And his response to the question of whether he wanted to go to Sheffield Wednesday was once a Miller, always a Miller, in reference to his time at Rotherham United. Are we going to see Evans sort of play the pantomime villain this weekend, Toby?
Yeah, I mean, it's a role he absolutely loves to play, isn't it? It'd be strange if he wasn't going to play that. So, and I mean, you feel like he might have to sort of come up with something like that. Obviously, as we were saying, his Gillingham side are under quite a bit of pressure coming here with the results, and obviously they've been absolutely devastated by injuries recently. So they've got that pressure on them as well in terms of they might be having to turn to a few youngsters. I think they lost 3 more defenders in the FA Cup game against Cheltenham last weekend. So if you can get Steve Evans doing that and sort of perhaps taking the attention away from those young players, and he's sort of pretty short on numbers squad in general, and people are instead looking at these comments he's making, then it could be something that maybe helps Gillingham in terms of easing that expectation on them, as opposed to, oh, look at what Steve Evans he's come up with now, and obviously he's brilliant at playing that role.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, Gillingham have got some real sort of selection issues. Let's get your predictions then. Chris, I'll come to you first.
I think 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday. I think Gillingham have done all right this season, but against the better sides, I think Plymouth, MK Dons, Sunderland, Ipswich, they've all come up short, and I think they'll lose again against Sheffield Wednesday.
And what about you, Toby?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0 for Sheffield Wednesday. Like I say, Gillingham lost a lot of numbers in defence last weekend. So against the sort of attack that Sheffield Wednesday haven't, even with the changes, they got a bit of form with the thrashing of Harrogate in the EFL Trophy in midweek. So I can see the Owls running in a few goals and taking a pretty comfortable win.
Two convincing predictions there. Next up, we're going to look at Wycombe versus Portsmouth. Two sort of big hitters in League One on paper anyway, in Wycombe versus Portsmouth this weekend. Wycombe are sitting 4th in the table, and Portsmouth will be disappointed with where they are at the minute. They're 14th in the table under Danny Cowley. We'll start with Wycombe. 2 draws and a defeat in their last 4 games. Gareth Ainsworth's side not quite carrying on their excellent start to the season. Toby, do you feel like a few cracks are starting to show at Wycombe?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think every club will go through this sort of run at some point in the season. So at this moment in time, I don't think there's huge cause for panic. Obviously, sort of looking through that fixture list, there are frustrating results in there, and there are opportunities missed. But as I say, I think any side will have that at some point this season. So at the minute, I think they've done well to obviously after how disappointing they will have felt with the way they went down last season. They responded brilliantly to that, and perhaps now it's just a bit of hitting the hurdles. But like I say, I think any side will do that throughout the course of the campaign. So if they can rectify it quickly, I don't think there's too much cause for concern.
Yeah, 2 of the sides that are above Wycombe in the table, Rotherham and Wigan, are not in action this weekend, as we've mentioned, due to the international fixtures. Chris, do you feel like a victory for Wycombe, would be really timely this weekend, just given that put the pressure back on the sides above them?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think for every side playing, if you can get, you'd rather have points on the board, wouldn't you, than games in hand. So you just get the win and then make them get results when they play again. It'll boost the confidence, as you say, and just create a good feeling going into the higher you are in the league. So yeah, this is a real opportunity when the others aren't playing to really make them put yourself in a better position. Yeah,
on the opposition side this weekend's Portsmouth. They're unbeaten in 3 with 2 draws and a win, but they have played some mid-table sides that are in and around them in the table. It's not like they've gone and turned over some of the better performing clubs. Do you feel like this weekend is a big test of where Cowley's side are, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. The 2 defeats before that, I think, were against Rotherham and Ipswich. So they're the big test for them then, and they failed pretty emphatically. So this is a real marker for them. Everyone expected Portsmouth to be in the mix, and they're not, like, points wise they can make it up, but they've been far too inconsistent. Now they've started to get a bit of momentum, and now this is a real big game for them to prove to everyone, to themselves and to the fans, that they are capable of mixing it with the better sides in the league.
Yeah, and momentum is a key thing, obviously, and that will have been aided, by a convincing 3-0 victory over the Crystal Palace under-21s in the Papa John's Trophy. In the week, George Hurst got himself on the score sheet, interestingly, and Cowley was quoted as saying it was one of his favourite nights at Fratton Park so far. Toby, you were expecting that kind of performance against, obviously an under-21 side, but really convincing in a good atmosphere. Do you think that'll lift Pompey?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it's sort of the nature of that win as well is really important, because you look back at last weekend and the FA Cup tie was up. They only got the 1-0 win against Harrow, a side who were obviously, with all due respect, quite way down the non-league pyramid. So the fact that wasn't convincing, and almost a straight past there for Portsmouth will have set a few alarm bells ringing, maybe, especially after a bit of an inconsistent start in the league. So to sort of come up with that sort of convincing win against Crystal Palace in midweek is really important. And as you say, it's a massive moment for George Hurst, his first goal in English football for any team. I think, again, it's people might say, yeah, it's the AFL trophy, and it's a under 21 side that he was playing against, but those are the sort of games where you almost have that weight of expectation on you. And the fact that he was able to come up with the goods and get his goal, and I think it came at the end of a performance where he'd been getting himself in all sorts of really good positions to get chances. He's got to be brimming with confidence from that now, and you think the way they won that has got to make sure that they come into this one on something of a high.
Right, let's get some predictions then. Wycombe v Portsmouth. Toby, you up first?
It's a tough one, this, given everything we've just said, so I'm going to sit on the fence. But it should be a good game. I'll say 2-2.
And what about you, Chris?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to go the same way. I'll go for 1-1, though. Two close teams and a tough game for both, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to dive down into League Two. Plenty of fixtures in League Two. We're going to kick things off by discussing Port Vale versus Bradford City. Port Vale are sitting second in the League Two table at the minute. They're looking really good under Darryl Clark, whilst Bradford are down in mid-table and struggling for any real consistency under Derek Adams. We'll start with the home side, obviously Port Vale. Darryl Clark's just picked up the Manager of the Month award for October. You know, it's a little bit of a myth, some might say, but do you think that Port Vale are a little bit wary that he's going to have that Manager of the Month cursed, Chris?
I think if they don't get results, people will be pointing to it. But it can't be a bad thing, can it? If it's just a recognition for the work you've done in the past month, so it will show the confidence will be high. And I don't think they'll be going in worried about it, but they'll be feeling they can get another win.
Yeah, absolutely. Confidence is high. They're scoring so many goals at the minute at Port Vale. It's 17 in their last 4 games across all competitions. And even in their last defeat, a 4-3 defeat at Sutton, they've still found the back of the net on 3 occasions. So, Toby, expecting Port Vale to sort of carry that on and get amongst the goals again this weekend?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, they're obviously the free scoring at the minute, and once you get into that sort of momentum, it can be really sort of hard to stop. And I think you look at their side as well; they've got plenty of sources of goals in there, so that obviously helps as well when there's not that reliance on one player. You've got plenty who can step up and put it in the back of the net. So when they've got those sorts of options, I can see them getting a few more here.
Yeah, Jamie Proctor is out with injury at the minute, but James Wilson stepped up. He got a hat-trick versus Accrington in the FA Cup last weekend. Chris, Wilson's a good striker for that level, isn't he? Do you expect him to sort of take on that goal-scoring burden in League Two now, sorry?
Yeah, I think he's always been someone with potential. He's always been around a few clubs, but he's a good finisher when you see him play, and he'll be relishing this chance to actually show what he can do consistently, and so far so good. And he'll look to continue that moving forward.
Yeah, and they're coming up against the Bradford side that were sort of pre-season favourites for promotion. It's not quite happened under Derek Adams yet, and as I mentioned, they're down in mid-table and struggling for some consistency. They drew 1-1 with Forest Green Rovers, the League Two leaders, last time out in the league, but they're without Andy Cook, who's their top goal scorer with 7 goals. Chris, do you feel like we can sort of get a performance from Bradford this weekend that justifies that pre-season tag that they had as early promotion favourites?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's the League Two. There's not a lot between a lot of the teams. They're all competitive. They all have players who can make a difference on their day. And Bradford have got a proven manager as well. So I don't think they'll go into any game like fearing defeat, or they'll always fancy their chances to get something. And it won't be any different tomorrow. So I think he'll have them organised. They're not letting in too many goals away. They're pretty competitive on the road. So I think it'll be a close game, to be honest.
What about you, Toby? What are your thoughts on Bradford at the moment?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm slightly surprised by the position they found themselves in. I think sort of the way they conducted the business in the summer transfer window. They were quick, they were efficient. They got in a lot of good players for this level, and then obviously as well brought in a manager in Derek Adams, fresh off the back of promotion out of League Two. So I mean, everything looks to be set up really well for them this season for a promotion push. And the first few weeks of the season, it looked as though they were going to back that up, but they've not sort of been able to follow up on that yet. So there's definitely going to be pressure on them now coming into this one. But if they can get a win here, then that's a pretty serious statement of intent from them with so long left in the season to really show that they are a side who can stay the course come what may.
Right, let's get some predictions then. Port Vale versus Bradford City. Chris, you up first?
Yeah, I think Bradford could nick a point here. I'm going for 1-1.
And what about you, Toby?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were saying about Port Vale and their scoring record recently, I've got a feeling there can be goals in this. I think it'll be tight, but I'll say Port Vale might just nick this 3-2.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to look at Bristol Rovers next. Bristol Rovers host Northampton Town elsewhere in League Two this weekend. Bristol Rovers, struggling a little bit, having dropped out of League One last season. They're currently 16th, whilst Northampton are in the top three, the automatic promotion places at the moment. We're going to start with Bristol Rovers. Joey Barton's side have got 2 wins from their last 5 fixtures in League Two and showed real character last week in the FA Cup to come from behind against Oxford, thanks to Anthony Evans' 87th minute penalty. It's a tough game for them, though, this weekend, Toby, isn't it? I think that it's maybe important all the same that they show something against a side that's so high in the table at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Northampton and Bristol Rovers are 2 sides who both came down last season. So it's one of them. When they do that, they're the sort of sides that you're expecting to produce a bit of a response. And I think definitely you were with Bristol Rovers, given, again, the sort of money that they spent during the summer. There was a lot of eye-catching signings in there, I'd say. So they probably are sort of performing below expectations at the minute. So again, if they can produce a performance against one of those sides in and around the automatic promotion places, it's a real statement of intent. And as you say, I think that FA Cup result at the weekend should give them confidence. It showed the battling qualities they have, and to do it against a League One side, obviously from the division above them, should give them confidence as well. So I do think they should be going into this one with not an overconfidence as such, but a belief that they do have a chance of getting something from this one.
Yeah, I mean, let's just touch on Northampton now. Northampton have been, really impressive, dropping back down into League Two. John Brady, though, is aware of the quality that Bristol Rovers have, but he's also been, quite keen to underline his side's quality on the road, and you can't get away from the fact that they are League Two's informed side. They've won 4 on the bounce. Chris, as Toby's mentioned, these 2 sides both dropped out of League One last season. How much of a statement do you think it'd be for Northampton to rock up at Bristol and turn them over this weekend?
Yeah, I think it would. And they'll believe they can. They're not really conceding many goals. That's always obviously a good place to start. Make your side hard to beat, and they'll fancy their chances against anyone. So yeah, it's going to again, as you say, there's not much between a lot of the teams in this division. It's on your day. It's how your best players perform. So yeah, it's obviously going to be a tough game. But yeah, I think they'll believe they'll come away with another win.
So come on then, let's get some predictions. Chris, you can go first.
Yeah, I think I'll go for Northampton 1-0. Yeah.
What about you, Toby?
I'm going to go for 1-1 here. I think, like I say, the fight Bristol Rovers, are showing, and obviously being at home as well, the following they've got at the Memorial. I think they might just have enough to get a point from this one.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to look at Walsall next. Final game on the agenda this week is Walsall versus Harrogate. Walsall down in 14th, while Harrogate sit 7th. Matt Taylor's Walsall, though, are unbeaten in October. So they're in a good place at the minute going into this fixture, whereas Simon Weaver's Harrogate have lost 3 and 4 in the league. So, contrasting form at the minute. Despite the positions in the table as well, we've touched on it earlier in the show. With a win this weekend, Walsall could go, level on points with Harrogate in the table, which just underlines how close League Two is. Toby, this weekend, who do you think's favourites going into this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you say, the table would suggest Harrogate, but the form guide says Walsall, and I think that's ultimately what you've got to go with, the form guide. That's where you're getting your momentum from coming into this one. And Walsall, I've sort of said before, I was surprised with the way they started this season after some of the business they did during the summer. So it may well be a case that, after those first few months, these new players that they brought in are starting to gel. Obviously, we're seeing George Miller was excellent last month, so they've got sources of goals. Meanwhile, Harrogate, as you say, they're on the back foot at the minute. Obviously, again, like we were saying with Portsmouth, it might just have been an EFL trophy game in midweek, but the goals they shipped to Sheffield Wednesday aren't going to help their confidence here either. So I would say that Walsall are perhaps the team to back going into this one, despite what the table might suggest.
Yeah, I seem to remember reading that Simon Weaver was particularly disappointed with Harrogate's defensive performance against Sheffield Wednesday in the week in the Papa John's Trophy. Chris, are you slightly concerned about how Harrogate seem to be sort of slipping down from the automatic promotion places to hanging on to the playoffs. And, do you feel like they're only going one way at the minute?
Yeah, I wouldn't say concerned because I wouldn't have had them pushing for automatic promotion. I think they were overachieving, being in that high up. So you can say they're like levelling out a bit. I think, they will be concerned with the defensive issues, particularly because, as I say, they're letting in too many goals. But no, I think they just need a result. I think they'll find their feet soon enough, and they'll be in that pack chase, hoping to finish in the playoffs, but if not mid-table. So, I think they're kind of getting to where they should be, which happens at the table. The longer you go, teams find where their levels, really.
Absolutely right. Let's get some predictions then. Walsall versus Harrogate. Toby?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this will still be a tight game, like Chris says. Harrogate by no means a bad team. They're still doing really well to be where they are, so they can cause Walsall trouble. But I think with the way the Saddlers are coming into this one, I'm just going to back them to get this 2-1 Walsall. And
what about you, Chris?
Yeah, I think Harrogate will get a point. I think it'll be goals as well, so I'll go for a 2-2 for this one.
Exciting way to end the show. Right, that concludes the Football League World TV weekend preview, and it concludes another, packed week of shows that we've had on Football League World TV. Thanks to Chris and Toby for joining me and any viewers that we've had. If you're getting out to an EFL game this weekend, do enjoy it. And until next week, take care.